Welcome back to the news at 10. 2 people have been killed and 17 others injured in a suicide attack in Borno State. Our correspondent reports that a male suicide bomber disguised as a lunatic blew himself up at the Musa Usman Secretariat along Post Office area in Maiduguri, the state capital. He carried out the act at the entrance of the complex, where security operatives usually conduct checks, but only the suicide bomber and a policeman were killed. The area has been cordoned off by security operatives and the civilian JTF, who are searching for clues. The state governor, Kashim Shettima, has visited the scene of the blast and the state hospital where the victims are being treated. This incident comes 24 hours after an attack was foiled in a village on the outskirts of Maiduguri. And as part of efforts to consolidate on the gains made against the Boko Haram sect, the Multinational Joint Task Force is asking member states to resolve the lingering humanitarian crisis in the region. Speaking at a security summit in Abuja, the Multinational Joint Task Force and the leadership of the Lake Chad Basin Commission advised member nations to ensure the provision of food, healthcare and education for internally displaced persons.
This summit aims at reviewing the performance of the regional security apparatus and how to consolidate the gains the regional troops have made in the fight against the Boko Haram insurgents among member states. After highlighting the gains the joint troops have made against the insurgents, the commander of the Multinational Joint Task Force urges member states to consolidate those gains by attending to the needs of the displaced persons in the region. He also advised on the need for more equipment and increase in the allowances of troops.
The Multinational Joint Task Force lift capability needs to be enhanced and should be enhanced by troop contributing countries. Mine and improvised explosive devices detection and destruction equipment and capability should be enhanced across the sectors. Adequate troop sustenance in terms of operation allowance, ration and fast-moving medical supplies should be increased. Flat-bottom boats and outboard engines should be provided for Multinational Joint Task Force for effective operations within the islands of Lake Chad.
The Executive Secretary of the Lake Chad Basin Commission also appeals to member states to double their efforts so that the region will not only win the war against insurgents, but also ensure lasting peace.
The objective is to speedily facilitate the rehabilitation of communities and the return of refugees, including IDPs, and specifically to aid their early return to their homes. Despite the huge feat by our military and the security agencies, there is need for more sustained efforts and concerted actions to ensure that we do not only win the war, but the peace as well.
Meanwhile, the Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Health drew the attention of member states to efforts to rescue the Chibok girls, which is one of the reasons for reactivating the Multinational Joint Task Force in 2014.
One of the objectives set in Paris is yet to be realized, which was the liberation and return of these poor girls back to their families and community. It's yet to be realized. Our hearts go out to them. And I can tell you that no effort will be and is being spared to ensure their safe return.
It's hoped that the outcome of this meeting will help member states arrive at decisions that will completely defeat insurgents in the region.
The Cross River State Governor Ben Ayade insists he'll continue to draw the attention of the world to the agony of the people displaced in Bakassi. The governor says that since their eviction from their ancestral home, the Bakassi people have not received any attention from the federal government like other internally displaced people in different states. Governor Ayade was speaking when the new flag officer commanding Eastern Naval Command paid him a courtesy visit in Calabar, the state capital.
Hearken to the cry of our people. We have an internal implosion on our hands. We have agitations that are boiling. We have a team of people who are crying up to the United Nations, and this will come to the fore, and very soon. As a governor, I have seen the dislocation of these people from their primary means of livelihood. as I see the pain and I see internal efforts to see that the internally displaced people in other states are given serious attention and full adequacy in terms of sufficiency and giving them sense of hope and making them feel truly that they are Nigerians. We don't see that happening in Bakassi. We don't see that happening in Cross River State. As this has happened, it distills down to a point that there's a complete breakdown in law and order. These people go through too much. And so they have reduced themselves to extreme want because of the feeling of denial by government, the feeling of rejection. And so at this point, Bakassi has become the hotspot for militancy.
And now to our community report, where a 7-man Judicial Commission of Inquiry has been inaugurated to look into the deadly attack on Nimbo community in Enugu State. At the inauguration, the governor, Ifeanyi Ugwuanyi, charged the commission to ascertain the exact number of deaths, find out the role of security agencies in the crisis, and make recommendations on how to prevent a recurrence.
The pains, tears of the people of Nimbo community after some suspected herdsmen attacked them, burning their houses and killing dozens. With this memory, the state government is not prepared to see this happen again, which is why the governor and other government officials are setting up an inquest into that brutal clash.
You will recall that on the 29th of April 2016, I addressed a press conference where, among other things, promised to institute an inquiry to unravel the circumstances surrounding the incident with a view to bringing justice to all concerned. In fulfillment of that promise, and pursuant to Section 41, the Commission of Inquiry Law Pt.3 revised laws of Enugu State 2004, have set up a judicial commission of inquiry into the killings and destruction of property in the Nimbo community, also one local government area of Enugu State, on 25th April 2016.
The 7-man Judicial Commission of Inquiry has, among others, the need to establish the remote and immediate circumstances that led to the attack and ascertain the role of security agencies before and after the attack.
Investigate and ascertain the number of persons killed or injured, their disturbances and their identities. Ascertain the properties destroyed, their owners, and the value of such properties. To identify person or persons, a group of persons who either by act or commission were directly or indirectly involved or connected with and sponsor the violence, killing of people and destruction of property.
The commission is made up of persons drawn from various backgrounds, including legal, security, and civil society. The chairman, a retired justice of the Supreme Court, Justice Chukwuma Ene, promises a thorough discharge of the task at hand.
I must say that the confidence which you reposed in us will not be disappointed. We'll do our very best in carrying out the onerous duty which you have, which this commission is faced with this from this moment on. There is no illusion in any one of us that it's going to be easy, but we solicit the help of the government and the people of Enugu State and the particular community involved in helping us in discharging this onerous duty.
With the inauguration, the state government has set in motion a process that is expected to lay to rest the ghost of the murderous attack on Nimbo community and ensure that such incidents are prevented in other parts of the state.
To legal matters now, the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission today arraigned a prominent Lagos-based lawyer, Ebun Adegborua, before a federal high court in Lagos for allegedly dealing illegally in a landed property. The property is said to be under an interim forfeiture order by Justice Christopher Balogun of the Lagos State High Court. Mr. Adegborua pleaded not guilty to the one-count charge, and his lawyer, Emeka Etiaba, asked the court to grant him bail on self-recognizance. In his ruling on the application, Justice Ogutoyibo admitted that he was reluctant to grant Mr. Adegborua bail on self-recognizance. Instead, the judge granted him bail in the sum of 10 million naira with 2 sureties in like sum. Before the bail conditions are perfected, Justice Ogutoyibo ordered that Mr. Adegborua be remanded in the custody of the EFCC. She then adjourned to June the 13th for commencement of trial. Let's switch gears now and take a look at some business news for the day. Here's Anne Waudu.
Hello and welcome to Business News. The index tracking the shares of all the oil and gas companies listed on the Nigerian Stock Exchange recorded a whopping 3.67% today, the first trading day after the government announced a guided liberalization regime for petrol. Investors bought major shares worth 129 million naira, and that's about $649,000 of oil major Fort Oil, while shares of Total Nigeria valued at 152 million naira or $762,000 were also exchanged today. The shares of Total Nigeria climbed 6.11%, while Owando's listed price finished better by 5.03%. Fort Oil gained 10.5%, Seplat Petroleum added 5%, and Mobil went up by 5.57%. The equities market rebounded at the close of today's trading, supported by positive investor sentiments across major counters. Here is Temple Ashaju with the details.
Hello and welcome to Stock Market Report. Market indicators reversed the negative trend recorded in the last two sessions this week in response to price recovery on bellwether stocks and that of oil and gas sectors. As a result, the all share index swung back into the green by 0.91%, while the capitalization climbed further to 8.90 trillion naira. Tiger Brands, Livestock Feeds and Diamond Bank were top on the list of 37 stocks with price advances. Nascon, Flour Mills and UPL led the 12 stocks and price declines. The top three actively traded equities at the close of today's transactions were Transcorp, FBN Holdings and FCMB. A total volume of 261.94 million units of shares worth 1.491 billion naira were traded in 3,457 deals. And that's the Stock Market Report. I'm Temple Ashaju.
A new 120-page report that surveys and selects top Nigerian companies that have weathered the storm of strong economic headwinds of 2015 is due for release later this week in Lagos. Ahead of the presentation, the contributing editor of the report, titled Iconic Miss Chi Elizabeth Duru, spoke with Channel's television news editor Bosin Omofaye on the ideas behind the new report and what the survey reveals about the old and new companies using innovations to become game changers.
Is particularly in Lagos, and I mean we saw that yesterday Katsina had their economic summit. We see Ogun State doing an investment forum. So we are seeing that now with this present administration we are looking at diversification, and the business directory that's the third part of Iconic shows this particularly in Lagos State, the diversification. And what we want to look at Iconic every year, 2017, 2018, is that it will become a platform to showcase companies that may not be well known but are really, really contributing to the economy. So outside the usual suspects, right, there are a lot of companies out there doing a lot of work, unsung heroes. So we are looking at Iconic as the platform to showcase it. So we are appealing to companies out there to even contact. If you're here 125 years, you still have to be able to be making changes. You still have to be able to be bringing in innovations and still sort of growing the economy as well. But we are also particularly interested in what we call the next generation icons. So that's the new ones coming up that we know that 20 years from now, based on their vision today, based on their growth today and what they are doing now, we know that 20 years from now they would be well known and be looked at as legends.
Rwandan President Mr. Paul Kagame has advised the public, private and civil society organizations to ensure Africa claims its place at the global table by earning it. President Kagame was speaking today during the plenary on Africa's fourth industrial revolution at the ongoing World Economic Forum for Africa in Kigali. The host president encouraged delegates to harness the many advantages of the ongoing digital revolution to leapfrog critical areas of growth for the continent.
And we must remain mindful of the gaps that hold us back and be able to address them. Africa should not still be playing catch-up by the time the fifth industrial revolution comes around. If we can use this time together to look for ways to harness the fourth industrial revolution for everyone's benefit, based on the inherent dignity and value of each person, we will really have accomplished something useful.
European markets closed today's session in the red, while African, Asian and US bourses ended mixed. Let's check out the figures. And with those figures, we end Business News tonight. Thank you for watching. I am Anne Umawadu. The rest of the news at 10 continues with Ijoma.
Welcome back. Now let's take a look at some sports. Here's Charles Eruka.